This cemetery was all overgrown with this stuff, and you didn't even know it was here. And people passed by and would go. There was a cemetery there, and you know, people had relatives that were buried here, and you couldn't even get to their graves. They were just completely overgrown with ivy, and I mean, it comes right up to the edge. 1926 Joiner. The Geer Cemetery in Durham, North Carolina, is the final resting place of over 2,000 of the city's African American citizens. These include prominent members of the historic Durham African American community. It is also the place where individuals that were born into slavery are buried. There are only about 200 identifying markers. The land was originally purchased from the Geers in 1877 by 3 formerly enslaved men, Nelson Mitchell, Wilson Moore, and John O'Daniels. The men purchased the 2 acres from the landowners Jesse and Polly Geer. At the time, Durham had no public burial grounds where African Americans could be buried. When a new cemetery was established called Beechwood, several bodies were moved from Geer to Beechwood. Even though African Americans were paying taxes to support the existing city cemetery, Maplewood, they were not allowed to be buried in the all-white Maplewood Cemetery. Beechwood was the first cemetery where they were allowed to be buried. Geer was not supported by the city. The cemetery closed in the 1930s and fell into neglect. It was vandalized or damaged unintentionally. It became overgrown to a point where most people didn't even know it existed within the neighborhood. So we're having a hard time finding a place to park. There's virtually no place to park to go into the cemetery.
I mean, I could take my car and put it right in there, but I'd pretty much have to jump the curb.
So once you can figure out where to park, we finally found a side road that wasn't so busy.
Better off just buying up into the damn road.
Yeah. So we're kind of fighting the sunlight right now, but it's a gorgeous cemetery. Now that they've taken down trees and cleared out all the overgrowth, but people lived in this neighborhood. They didn't even know a cemetery was here. So thanks to an organization, they come in here and clean this up and are letting people know about the cemetery. So there's many people in here that were enslaved. There's a depression right there. So this is Lizzie, Lizzie Hooker, but it doesn't, it's really, you really can't read the dates, but it looks like she was born 1882 maybe, died in 1902. But there's many people in here that were enslaved at Stagville Plantation down the street. And this was an enslaved cemetery, and then when
The dates are right on Abner. He died in 1898. He was 88 years old.
Right, so he was
So he was a slave.
he was enslaved. There's Sylvia there too. So this is Abner and Emily's son. Last name Banks. So these are all the Banks family. He was born. Fendel was born in 1856, so he was born into slavery and died in 1914. This is Abner Banks, and he died in 1918 at the age of 33. So many of the people in here were enslaved. Here's the Willises. There's actually many names on there. The Lyons, born 1885 to 1907. It's a beautiful cemetery. They've done a wonderful job cleaning this up. Now on the side here is Fawcett. I have a write-up about her, but you can only see her grave from the street. She's facing out. She is a notable person. This person here, Pearson, George Pearson, I've seen that name actually all over Durham, was born in 1821, so he was born in slavery and died in 1902. Death is eternal life. Why should we weep? So I know there's a lot more people buried out there than I am seeing headstones. It's just a beautiful scenery with the fall leaves. This one butts up right to this tree. Does that say Puffins? Samuel M. Puffins? Born in 1858 and died in 1916. So he was born into slavery, and this tree is just growing up right around him. I mean, can you imagine this neighborhood not even knowing that this cemetery was here? It was so overgrown. And I was watching this video of this one lady, and she was saying how her dad would drive past here and point that you're at so-and-so is buried there, and she'd look at there and go, my aunt is buried in this jungle? She thought she was like a troll or something, you know, because it was so overgrown. She just couldn't picture that she was buried here. So
Over 2,000 people interned here.
Over 2,000 people interned, so, Mr. Martini said.
Yeah, there's a lot of missing headstones.
There's the Kane family off in a distance. It's starting to lose light.
This looks like it's either a grave or a way in and out of the cemetery.
Yeah, it looks more like a plot because there's an end to it right over here.
See an end?
Yeah, so it was a plot. This headstone's right here is grown up in the tree. Yeah, there's a lot of missing headstones. Looks like there's a plot over there. So, you know, a video I saw, there were plaques in this walkway telling you who, you know, notable people were. Everybody in here is notable as far as I'm concerned, but you know, it explained a lot, and I'm not seeing those. It must have been like a temporary thing or something, or maybe they got damaged, but That video I watched wasn't that long ago. It was done by the people who take care of this cemetery, the organization. So, a lot of knocked over headstones back here. I know they're trying to repair them, trying to put them upright and repair them. But you know, it's all volunteer and it's a lot of work. There's a lot of sunken in area here. I'm not gonna, right there, I'm not gonna walk up there. You know, with these leaves here, you don't know what you're stepping on, and I want to be respectful. But this whole cemetery was overgrown with this ivy. Like, you couldn't even see the headstones, and all the headstones had ivy wrapped around them. Oh yeah, it looks like they're still oh, look at all the sunken in graves here. That one is really damaged. Yeah. God rest their souls. So here's a sunken grave here. Another one right here. Actually, there's quite a few back in here. A big area right in here. So, yeah, see, I don't know if you can see it right here. Right here, different angles. Notable. Yeah, this is all sunken in back in here. See right here. These are all damaged.
There actually used to be another pipe there, and it's a chain. See,
There was a chain.
2, 3.
Oh, it was
4.
a plot. See, he's saying this, and
That one.
and that one back there.
One.
So there was a
This
chain.
one's broken off. But
So it was a
basically
plot, and the graves are all sunken in, all the way back. So this is the Allen plot. There's Richmond Allen, 1845. So he was born into slavery, died in 1921. His wife, Fanny G. She was born in 1953 and died in 1898. And this looks like their plot here because it's got the boundaries. So this one is Camillus Sweepson, born 1841, so born into slavery.
But yet he was a Mason.
Yeah, he's got a Mason symbol on there. Died in 1918 at 77 years old. I wonder if he died of the Spanish flu, because that's when the Spanish flu was. There's also Woodson Mitchell, born in 1823 and died in 1891, and then I can't read the rest of it. So there's probably a lot more graves here that never had headstones.
We could see impression after impression.
Right. But there's, this was...
They can identify that flag.
Well, they used this for the plantation to bury enslaved people. And then the property was bought by the slave owner. It was bought from the slave owner to become a supported cemetery.
That's
Enslaver. So this one is Yarborough, Mary Ellen Yarborough. She was born in slavery in 1849 and died in 1900. She died at 50 years old, almost 51. And the rest of the inscription is too hard to read. Some more sunken in graves. We have this, oh, look at all this ironwork. Wow.
twisted and rusted and rotted away.
Yeah.
Imagine that tree didn't help it much either. That's a massive tree.
That is a massive tree they've taken down. Taken down a lot of trees in here.
No, you really can't get there.
So the path dead ends, so we're turning around and going back the way we came. It's a very beautiful cemetery. If you happen to be in the Durham, Raleigh area, or you're coming to visit Stagville, or Benton Place, which is another historical site where the Confederate General of North Carolina and Sherman signed a peace treaty to end the war here in North Carolina. That's Benton Place. And that's just down the street. So there's a lot of history to be found here in the Raleigh-Durham area. So if you ever get a chance, definitely come and visit some of these wonderful places that are so rich in good and bad history. You see how this is all overgrown, Patrick? All this right here? That's what the whole cemetery was. And if you notice, a lot of the headstones are either propped up or they've been fixed. It either grew around the headstones and you couldn't see them, or they were knocked over. But they're still clearing out all this ivy.
They don't stay on it. The ivy will cover it all up.
Yeah, and just the older generation kind of knew there was a cemetery here. It was just kind of forgotten.